Imagine a crime buried for decades, a mystery that haunted a city for generations. What if I told you that a single piece of evidence, almost forgotten, just cracked the case wide open? Today, we're diving deep into the chilling 1982 cold case from Albuquerque that has finally been solved, and the person arrested is someone nobody saw coming. This story isn't just about catching a criminal. It's about the relentless pursuit of justice, the power of modern technology, and a community left reeling from a shocking revelation. Stick around, because the details of this investigation are truly unbelievable. Let's rewind to Albuquerque, 1982. The city was a different place back then. The tallest building was the Albuquerque National Bank. Hairstyles were big, and the biggest news was the opening of the Cottonwood Mall. But on a seemingly ordinary day, this sense of normalcy was shattered. A young woman, full of life and with a bright future ahead of her, was found murdered. The crime scene was perplexing, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. Who would do such a thing, and why? The initial investigation was intense. Detectives worked around the clock, chasing down every lead, interviewing friends, family, and anyone who might have seen something. The community was on edge, gripped by fear and suspicion. Flyers with the victim's face were plastered all over town, and local news covered the story daily. But despite the massive effort, the case hit a wall, leads dried up, witnesses' memories faded. And as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the case slowly went cold. For the victim's family, the pain was immeasurable, a wound that refused to heal, compounded by the agonizing lack of closure. For the city of Albuquerque, it became one of those haunting local legends, a story whispered from one generation to the next, a symbol of justice denied. Years turned into decades. The original investigators retired, and the case files, thick with reports and dead-end leads, gathered dust in an archive room. It seemed destined to remain unsolved forever. But justice, as they say, has a long memory, and so do the dedicated detectives who work in cold case units. These are the men and women who refuse to let victims be forgotten. In the late 2010s, a new generation of investigators, armed with technology that the 1982 police could only dream of, decided to take another look. They reopened the file, their fresh eyes scanning the old reports, photographs, and evidence logs. This is where the story takes a turn you'd expect to see in a movie. Tucked away in an evidence bag for over 40 years was a tiny piece of biological material, collected from the original crime scene. Back in 1982, DNA testing was the stuff of science fiction. But now, in the 21st century, it held the key. The cold case team knew this was their shot. They carefully submitted this decades-old sample to a forensic lab, hoping for a miracle. The process was painstaking. Extracting a viable DNA profile from such an old and potentially degraded sample incredibly difficult. Everyone held their breath, and then they got the hit, a match. The DNA profile generated from the crime scene evidence was run through CODIS, the national DNA database. It pinged back a name, but this wasn't just any name. It was the name of someone who had been living in plain sight, right there in the Albuquerque community, for the past more than 40 years. The suspect was a seemingly ordinary person, a neighbor. Maybe someone you'd pass in the grocery store. He had a family, a job, and a life that appeared completely normal on the surface. He had never been on the original list of suspects. His name had never once come up in the 1982 investigation. The arrest was quiet and swift, but the shockwave it sent through the community was seismic. When the news broke, people were stunned. How could this person, this neighbor, this seemingly average member of society, be capable of such a crime? Friends and acquaintances of the arrested individual expressed disbelief. They described him as quiet, unassuming, even friendly. The contrast between the person they thought they knew and the person accused of this brutal, decades-old murder was impossible to reconcile. It's a chilling reminder that monsters don't always look like monsters. They can be the person next door. For the surviving family of the victim, the news was a tidal wave of conflicting emotions. There was profound relief that an arrest had finally been made, that their loved one had not been forgotten. After 40 long years of waiting, of unanswered questions and unending grief, there was finally a name and a face to hold accountable. But the arrest also ripped open old wounds, forcing them to relive the most dramatic event of their lives. It was a bittersweet moment of closure, a painful but necessary step towards healing. They expressed their immense gratitude to the cold case detectives who never gave up hope. So, what happens now? The suspect has been charged and is awaiting trial. The legal process will be long, and the prosecution will build its case around that crucial piece of DNA evidence, supplemented by the original case files. They will have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, connecting the suspect to the crime that happened a lifetime ago. For the community, the arrest has started a difficult conversation about trust, perception, and the hidden secrets that can lie dormant in a quiet neighborhood for decades. It's a stark lesson that you never truly know what goes on behind closed doors. This case is a powerful testament to the incredible advancements in forensic science. Technologies like genetic genealogy and advanced DNA analysis are revolutionizing cold case investigations across the country, bringing hope to countless families who have been waiting for answers. It sends a clear message to criminals. No matter how long ago you committed a crime, no matter how well you think you've hidden your tracks, the past can and will catch up with you. Science is a patient and relentless detective. The resolution of the 1980 to Albuquerque cold case is more than just a crime story. It's a story of perseverance, of detectives who refuse to quit, and of the enduring power of hope. It's a tribute to a victim whose memory was kept alive, and a promise to her family that she would never be forgotten. And it's a solemn reminder for all of us about the fragility of peace and the long, slow, but unwavering arc of the moral universe it bends towards justice. What do you think about this incredible case? It really shows how technology is changing the world of criminal justice. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime mysteries. Thanks for watching.